morning, everyone. Today is Monday and I'm getting ready to go to town to upload last week's video. Eddie's doing a little bit of mowing outside, but before we go to town, I decided to take a walk up to the garden and I found a watermelon. Now, I have been really struggling with knowing when these watermelons are ready, so I don't know if it's ripe or not. We're gonna cut it open and find out. Let's take the stem off, and then I think I want to cut it the long way. Not the wrong way, the long way. Can't tell anything yet, but it's not looking promising. Now it's popping like right open, like, whoa. So it's not totally ripe. So there's a lot of white rind, some red. It's got big seeds, which is kind of amazing. But let me grab a spoon and see what this tastes like here. A lot of seeds. These are Black Diamond watermelon. Very juicy. It tastes ripe. It doesn't taste super sweet. It does taste ripe though, which is amazing. I didn't think it would since it has all that rind on it. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad at all. It would definitely be better cold, but yeah, it's pretty good. I'm gonna cut out the centers, the part that is ripe, and I'm gonna stick it in the refrigerator before we go to town. Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday and I'm up here in the garden to do a job that I have been putting off because I really don't want to do it. But the garden has pretty much died, so I need to pull it all out. And yeah, here's the cucumbers. They have turned very crispy. And I was getting some tomatoes until last week when we got all that rain, and they've all pretty much died. They've more than died. Let me show you what's going on over here. I think they got so much water that what happened, they got so much water that they all just like exploded. And yeah, so all the tomatoes on here that were ripening, they're all rotted now. So all the tomatoes are rotted. I'm just gonna pull it all out. I'm gonna leave this tomato plant right here because it's really big and it's still got a lot of green to it. So I'm gonna leave that one, but everything else, I'm just gonna tear it out. The peppers are still doing okay, but they need to be weeded. And I will leave things like the sweet potatoes. Those are still okay, but yeah, I need to get everything pulled out and get ready for my fall garden. I think I'm just gonna start on this end down here and just start ripping everything out and do the best I can. It's very hot out today, and this place is a jungle. Okay, I didn't get much done yet. This is the sweet potato plant that was here. This was the bean bed, so that's all done. And then the first tomato bed. But I did decide to leave this tomato here. That it's actually 1, 2, 3 plants. These are cherry tomatoes, and there's still quite a bit of tomatoes on there. So I decided to leave these cherries for now. I'm pulling off all the dead stuff. But I want to leave this bunch to see if we can get some more cherry tomatoes. I love cherry tomatoes, but right now, Tiny, he went without me. We are gonna go get a drink because I am melting out here. The sweat is making the dirt stick and turn to mud all over me. So I'm gonna go rinse off and get a cool drink, and then I will come back up and continue. Well, we just got in here to the kitchen for a cool drink, which is Diet Mountain Dew, my favorite. And I took a look at my sourdough bread. I started my dough this morning, and I think it's just ready. So I lifted up the cover here, and my dough has risen quite a bit. You can see them bubbles around the edges, and so instead of getting back up to the garden right now, I need to roll out this dough and get it in its pans. I have all this other stuff on my counter because I was gonna make some zucchini bread this morning, but I decided to do that tonight. So I just have the stuff out that I'm gonna be using for that. But I wanted to show you guys these pans. I found these on Amazon. And one thing I noticed when I was making bread was using the normal bread pans like these, the 9 by 3.5 or 4 or whatever they are, the normal ones you buy in the store. The bread would get really big on the top, and when you wanted to make a sandwich, it made for a very large sandwich. So I picked up these on Amazon, and I don't think they were too much, $20 or $30, but they are, I don't think it says the size on it. They're like 12 inches by, I don't know, 2.5 or 3 inches, but they're more like, they're almost like a store-bought loaf of bread. They're more that size, and they make the perfect size bread for sandwiches. So I'm very happy with those pans for sandwich bread. Something else I want to tell you about while I'm trying to get this done here. Like I've told you guys before, I'm really bad at figuring out when watermelon is really ripe or ripe at all. But I had picked a watermelon that actually I showed it on last week's video. It was the last thing alive on the plant. Well, I picked that watermelon and I brought it in, and I realized that nobody was really eating the watermelon. I still had a container of watermelon in the refrigerator, and I didn't want this watermelon to go bad in case, you know, it was the last watermelon we got. I didn't want to waste it. I hate wasting food. But anyway, so I decided that instead of sticking it in the refrigerator and hoping that somebody would eat it before it went bad, I would make some watermelon jelly out of it. Now, I've never made watermelon jelly. I've never heard of watermelon jelly. I've never tried it, nothing. So how it's going to taste, I have no idea. My dough is sticking here. But I did make 11 jars of watermelon jelly, and it's not very red, and I'm guessing that's because the watermelon wasn't fully ripe. But what I did was I cut it up into pieces, and I put the watermelon through my food mill to strain out just the juice. And then I put the juice through my jelly bag so that I would just get juice and no pulp. Well, then I was left with a bag full of watermelon pulp. I mean, there wasn't much because I had put it through the food mill. But I was thinking to myself, well, what could I do with this pulp so it doesn't go to waste? So I put it in the food dehydrator. And I basically made a watermelon fruit roll or a watermelon jerky, and I would love to show you that because it came out pretty good, but Mikey ate it all. So I forgot to spray my pans. Yeah, so that's a thing. I'm hoping we like the flavor of the watermelon jelly. If I do, I'll share it with you. But if it's not like fantastic, I'm guessing it would be better with more of a ripe watermelon, because that one, like I said, wasn't that ripe. So I'm guessing that it would be better if the watermelon was fully ripe. So, yes, Ocean, I see you.
Am I interrupting?
As long as you don't mind being on camera.
I just gotta make my tea.
Everybody wants drinks today. It's very hot out. Yeah, I wish I had gotten a picture of that watermelon jerky though before Mikey ate it, because I thought I had some of it. Actually, we all had some. Eddie didn't have any. He doesn't like anything that's, you know, like candy, so he didn't have any. But I really liked it, and Ocean had a piece, and Mikey had a piece, and so that's a way to use up the watermelon pulp when you strain out your juice. So I thought that was neat.
You should try that with the other things that you do, like fig and blueberry and strawberry.
Yeah. Now when I make juice, if I strain it or when I make jelly, a lot of times I make jam and I don't make jelly. But if I make any jellies, then that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to use that pulp and try to make jerky out of it and see how it works, or fruit roll up, whatever you want to call it. But all right, I'm going to stick these loaves of bread in some bags, keep the bugs off, and then we'll head back up to the garden. Hopefully I can get everything weeded and all fixed up nice looking so that it'll all be ready for the fall garden. I would really like to start some seeds probably around the 1st of August or close to it. And this is July 20th, so yeah, I'll probably be a little later than I had wanted, but at the same time, I'm not sure when I need to start. This is my first year. Ouch. This is my first year trying to do a fall garden here, but I really want to get some brassicas planted and like some carrots. My onions and garlic will have to go in October. So, all these vines. The vines just hold on to everything. I want to, once I get everything pulled out and weeded, I'd like to get everything covered up with some sort of mulch. I broke the mower the other day when I was supposed to be mowing. I didn't get very far and I broke the mower, so we're waiting on some parts. I have a thyme plant in there. Didn't even know it was there. Actually, I knew I planted it, I just couldn't remember where it was. It was underneath all the weeds. I did leave this tomato plant here because it's got a whole bunch of tomatoes. Oh, it's got a freaking worm on it. Look at that. Not no more, but it's got a whole bunch of tomatoes here, and I want to see if they'll ripen up. So that one survived the cut. I did cut off a bunch of the dead stuff off it. And this is the bed I'm gonna leave. This is all basil in the front. I've never had my basil get this big before. I've been cutting it and dehydrating it. But as you can see, a lot of this tomato plant is dead. It's all brown and crispy and nasty dead tomatoes. But It's got a lot of new growth up top, so I'm just gonna leave this one for now. It probably won't last much longer. I'll probably end up ripping it out, but anyways, we are down to the cucumber bed here. So I need to rip all of this out, and I'm hoping, now we put these traps out here because of those big rats that are in here, but I'm hoping once we get rid of a lot of these vines and then the tall grass between the beds, I'm hoping those rats are gonna go away. As you can see, this is, I don't know if you can tell on camera, but this is way overgrown because the tomatoes fell into the center, and Eddie didn't want to mow this and cut the tomato plants. But now that we're ripping out the tomato plants, we're gonna go through and mow that super short and then put down the landscape fabric, and that way I won't have that problem again with the tall grass and the rats and the mice getting in there. So anyways, let's get to this cucumber bed. We have a hand mower that we can use between these beds here. So that's the plan for today, is just to get all of this cleaned up, or as much of it as I can. There's also a lot of fire ants from all the rain. The ants like to go into the garden beds, and these weeds like to grow through the landscape fabric, which I'm not happy about. But yeah, let me get as much of this pulled out as I can. That's what I harvested out of the garden as I was pulling it. I actually found a couple of potatoes. They're pretty small, but I didn't even know they were in there. So some squashes, lots of green tomatoes. I don't use green tomatoes, but I have a neighbor that does. So yeah, that's what I pulled out of the garden. I think I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to make the zucchini bread, because I am soaked in sweat. I'm tired, I'm hot, I need a shower, but I gotta go do chores, and then I gotta feed my family. So I gotta feed the animals, then I gotta make dinner, and then I'm going to take a shower. After that, I'll probably crash. So we'll make zucchini bread tomorrow. Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, and we are going to make some zucchini bread. I still have some zucchinis that I harvested a couple of weeks ago, and they're still firm, they're still good. They've been sitting here in the kitchen waiting for me to make zucchini bread. I probably have 20 loaves of zucchini bread in the freezer, but that won't last all year because around here everybody wants to eat zucchini bread almost every day. Now last year I shredded the zucchini and I put it in the freezer, and I made zucchini that way through the year. The only difference is when you put it in the freezer, you'll get a lot more liquid, and sometimes it's difficult to know how much of that liquid you should pour off once you thaw that shredded zucchini out. And it's just easier for me to make the bread and put it in the freezer, and that way when Eddie or Mikey says, hey, I want some zucchini bread, I don't have to get up and make it. They can just go grab a loaf out of the freezer. So that's what we're going to do this morning. We're going to make some zucchini bread. So I'm going to take off the ends of the zucchini. I'm going to cut it in half to make it more manageable. So I have my food processor here. I'm also going to grab a spoon, and I'm going to, on the bigger end, I like to take the seeds out. Now I have made one where I left the seeds in and it didn't really make that much of a difference. It was still good, but I would just prefer not to have the seeds. So I'm going to scrape these out. Now I'm just going to shred this up. scraps will go to the pigs. Okay, so I've got the zucchini ready. This is a super easy recipe. I have a little sieve here. I'm going to put in 3 cups of flour. And I just like to put it through the sieve just to make sure there's no clumps. All right, 3 cups of flour. Now we're going to do a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of baking powder, a teaspoon of baking soda, and a tablespoon of cinnamon. Sift that through. My baking soda gets a little clumpy, so okay. Now that's all mixed up. That's all we need for the dry ingredients. So we have the dry ingredients and we have the zucchini. So in our stand mixer now we're going to put 2 1/4 cups of white sugar, and 1 cup of oil, we need 3 eggs, and we need 3 teaspoons of vanilla. And we're going to mix that all up. Now we're going to add the dry ingredients to that. We're going to put it on stir. We don't want to make a mess. Now this is going to be super thick right now, but no problem because it will loosen up as soon as we put the zucchini in it. Okay, now we're going to add 2 cups of zucchini, shredded zucchini. We don't want to drain it. We're going to pack it in here really good. It's all right if you put a little extra. There's 1. 2. Okay, and we're gonna give that a stir. And you need the juice from the zucchini. It's what makes your dough or your batter loose enough. Okay, now here you have an option. I have made this. We're gonna add 1 cup of whatever you want to add. Now I have used pecans, I have used walnuts, I have used chocolate chips, I have used dried cranberries. So whatever you want to add to it, just add a cup. And give that a mix. I just realized that's not the attachment I normally use for this. It's early. Now we're gonna grab our bread pans. And I like to butter my pans with some lard when I have it. I just feel like it doesn't stick as much if you use lard instead of butter. So give those a good wipe down. And then that paper towel goes into the compost pile. Okay, and then we're just going to pour this into the pans. There we go. So we're gonna throw these in the oven. I actually forgot to preheat my oven, so I have to wait a few minutes. But we're gonna throw these into a 325-degree oven for 60 to 70 minutes. I always start with 1 hour and then I check them. Now to know if they're done, I just put a toothpick down through the center. If it comes out clean, it's done. Sometimes they'll take an extra 5 to 10 minutes. Oh, that smells so good. It's very hot. Two more loaves of zucchini bread, all done. Now I'm gonna let them cool for probably 10 or 15 minutes, and then I'll take them out of the pan and put them on a cooling rack. Well, I'm out here in my pajamas. Eddie's trying to fix the fence. Fancy escaped. My neighbor came by. He's a really tall, large man. He walked up to the gate. Fancy didn't like something about him, and she started freaking out right away. And she went over the fence, and she got out in the peanut field, and we went out with the truck and a bucket of feed, and we had her coming back, kind of following us. And then she got to a spot where the grass was a little bit wider, and she went into the woods. So we're just gonna have to wait now and see if she shows up at a neighbor's place. There's cows around us, so we're hoping that she just shows up at one of those places with the other cows, and then we'll be able to get her and get her back home. So yeah, we've had her almost 2 weeks. We're 2 days away from 2 weeks. And yeah, this is not the way I was hoping this was gonna go. But hopefully it all works out. I'll keep you guys updated. We're just gonna fix the fence where she went over it. The hot wire is not working for some reason. It could be because it's grounding out where she went over the fence, but we're just gonna fix that up tonight and then just call it a night and hope she shows up somewhere. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Friday. Now, we did end up finding Fancy this morning. She was over at a neighbor's with his cows. So we went over, we saw her, we got her penned up over there, and he's going to keep her for us for a couple of days so that we could make a better holding pen for her. Because now that she's gotten a taste of jumping the fence and freedom, we're afraid that she will keep jumping the fence. So we are down here at the hen house, and we spent the day building a new pen for Fancy. And we didn't bother to pick up the camera because we needed to hurry up and get this done so that we could bring Fancy home. We went to Home Depot first thing this morning, picked up some cull lumber because, as I've been saying, I am out of logs. So we had to go and we bought some cull lumber to get some of this done, and then the rest of it was offcuts from the mill. So let me show you what we have. So we've got a big 14-foot gate right here. This is where we will bring her in. It's got a wheel on the bottom right there. We took this off of the barnyard, and we will take the green gate from her old pen and put it back on the barnyard. Now this pen is the same width as the hen house, so it is 10 feet going this way and it is 25 feet going this way. Now I made this here. This is where she will eat. We're going to set that wagon right outside there with the food in it, so she'll have to stick her head through the boards to eat. And I want to do that in preparation for her to be in a stanchion. She needs to get used to putting her head through the hole to eat. Now on this part of the pen, we did put in some store-bought 4x4s that are pressure treated because we did sink them into the ground. And then we just used offcuts from the mill to make this wall here. This wall is 6 feet high. So if she jumps this, then she's going to the sale barn. Now on the other side here, from the gate to that corner, and then over to that corner, this is 2 layers of wire fencing. So it goes from the ground all the way up. I'm guessing that's about 8 feet. If she jumps that, good riddance. So there shouldn't be any way for Fancy to get out of here. We bought Fancy for a reason. We bought her because we want milk, we want butter, we want cheese, and I need to get in the mindset that she is here to do a job, to provide us with milk. I always feel guilty about locking up my animals into a small pen because I want them all to be free range and be happy. But I can't do that with Fancy. Fancy's here to do a job, and we need to prepare her for that job. We also made this pen so that if we ever need to lock her into a smaller area, we've got this board here, and we can stick 3 iron pipes, one here, and one down there. Stick iron pipes all the way across to the gate on the other side. So we'll probably have to get some 12-foot pipes, but that would put her in this section, which is 8.5 feet by 10 feet. And that's just in case we need to lock her into a smaller section, because we have a lot of training coming up to do. Once we get her in here and to calm down, which she hadn't done yet. She hadn't calmed down to where she would just stand there if you came near. If you came near, she got nervous, she backed up. So once we get her to calm down, then we need to be able to handle her. We need to be able to touch her. So in order to do some of that, we will probably have to lock her into a smaller area. So I prepared this pen for that day when we will have to lock her into a smaller area so that we can touch her. You can't touch her if she's running 25 feet down to the other end of the pen. So that's what we got done today. Hopefully either tomorrow or Sunday, we will get Fancy back home and into her new pen. And like I said, if she escapes from this, then she's going to the sale barn because I can't build it any stronger. But I appreciate everybody sticking with us, and I'll see you next week.